Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Lightning List. And with the reveal of the PlayStation 5 controller yesterday, which I actually really like, I think the white and black kind of two-color aesthetic is really cool and looks very clean um, and sterile, but not in a bad way. It looks, I think, actually pretty interesting. And it'll be interesting to see what other colors they release with it, because they're going to. Um, but I thought this would be a good time to go over kind of what I'd like the PlayStation 5 to launch with. These are games where if one of them or multiple of them happen to be launch titles for the PS5 that just haven't been announced yet, I'd buy a PS5 day one. I'm going to start with something kind of easy. We know this is coming out on PS4 later this year, so I don't think they're going to have it be a PS5 launch title as well. But they have done a port like this in the past, which makes me a little hopeful. And that would be Tales of Arise from Bandai Namco, the next entry in the Tales of series. I love the Tales of series. I got started on Symphonia back on the GameCube years and years and years ago. Tales of Vesperia for 360 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Just because I love the characters and I've always loved the stories and just how deep they go. It's one of those games I'll pour hours and hours into, and it'll overtake everything else when I can play it. So right now I have the PS4 version pre-ordered. If we start to get hints that there will be a PS5 port, it may be something where I kind of shift the money towards that instead. That's really the only one that has any sort of basis in anything that we know is happening. These others, we really don't know much. We really don't. There's been hints and hopes and suspicions. Some of them, some are just my own wild wishes. So let's move on to one of those that's had a little more speculation, and that would be Spider-Man 2. We know they're planning some kind of sequel with how Spider-Man for the PS4 1 ended. And keep in mind for the rest of this, there are going to be spoilers ahead. So Spider-Man on PS4 ends with symbiote goop, essentially, reaching out and caressing the glass as Norman Osborn has put his head against it, worried about his son Harry. So clearly Harry and, they're planning something there. I wonder if there's been a venomized Green Goblin before. Anyway, I think they've released a Funko of one recently, but I really loved Spider-Man for the PS4, and I think if they take all those ideas and improve upon them and just keep making it better, I think Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 will be amazing. I think if the PS5 launches with the Spider-Man 2, that's a must-get for me. Another game I just finished that I think we need to see more of this world would be Detroit Become Human. Now, this one's very hard to really kind of justify a sequel for, as one way or another, when you leave, there's a big development. Either the robots are taking over or they're making peace. So the question becomes, which is continuity in that instance? Because on mine, the robots kind of took over. Kara fled to Canada. Marcus and Connor, they worked together to help Jericho kind of resist the humans. And that was never my intention at first. It just kind of snowballed by accident. In some cases, I did try to be more peaceful. I didn't try to be so war-driven, but some of the humans deserved it. So you make your choices and you live with them, and Detroit Become Human. And I think if you choose a route, or if you kind of stake it down the middle and you jump into the future, you could go another route with that, and you could make another game in that vein. I would love to see another Detroit Become Human, just because all three stories were really interesting. You had a lot of tough choices, and you had to make decisions, and it's kind of like the Telltale stuff, like Batman Telltale. It impacted everything you did throughout the rest of the story, essentially. And you could screw things up in an instant, which was great. Same thing again with the Telltale games. But if you really worked at it, you could do a lot of good stuff too, a lot of interesting stuff, like Connor's relationship with Hank, I think, is just one of the best things if you do it right, making Hank your friend. Moving on to another one that's a lot of people are hoping for, but yeah, that would be Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I haven't finished this game yet. I keep playing it for spurts and then not playing it for a while. And it's not that it's a bad game or I get bored or anything. I just have a million other things to do. And it's one of those games where I do feel like I can go back in and just get right back into it, which is really good. Like, I've played it so much, I can go right back in and just start taking down creatures again. Some of them are a pain in the butt, but I really want to see more of this world again, kind of in a future jump. And I mean, we see most of the world, I would assume. Although it's hard to tell, you see these big mountains and things, so maybe there's more out there to see, and more monsters, more machines to deal with. I mean, it's all here, but what's kind of beyond the map in the game. So there's that. Then there is Injustice 3. I feel like I have something else back here, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about Injustice 3. So, Mortal Kombat 11, they finished the first combat pack. People are hoping for a second. I want another Injustice game sooner rather than later. Mortal Kombat dropped in 2019. So I think Injustice probably 2021, maybe as far as 2022. I hope not. The problem is NetherRealm does like to launch their stuff in spring, so this one's really unlikely in my opinion because of that. But I would love to see Injustice 3, and I need a Power Ranger guest fighter this time. I was so hopeful last time, and the Ninja Turtles are fine. I have no problem with the Ninja Turtles, but Power Rangers has also crossed over with DC many times. Power Rangers has crossed over with Ninja Turtles many times. This is a perfect setting for one Ranger fighter, and you may as well make it Tommy. That seems the obvious choice, but he's the most popular. He's the most recognizable. He's going to make you the most, news if you put him in. And you can have Green Ranger, White. You've got green, white, red, black. You've got Lord Draken. You've got all that ready to go with him already. Like, there's so much stuff there. There's a big mine there. And then I know I was going to say something else, and I can't think of it right now. That's really frustrating. That's what I'm forgetting. So the other thing I want, and this is the longest shot of anything, would be a new game in the Infamous series. This is one of those series that I loved on PlayStation 4 and 3. I grew to love so much. And again, it's a world I want to see more of. I love these kind of superhero, superpower games. And I know Sucker Punch is now doing Ghost of Tsushima. I really hope they look at revisiting Infamous. I don't think it's going to be a launch title, but if they could release some kind of Infamous title on PS5, I'd be happy. That's lights out for the first ever Lightning list. That is my most wanted PS5 launch titles.